In this episode of Fill My Cup, I'm going to share with you 4 ways that you as a leader can help navigate your team through times of uncertainty. Welcome to episode 8 of Fill My Cup. In this episode, we are filling our cups at Rise Bake Shop in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining us today. Well, in our previous episode, we discussed that when we change our mindset, we change our life. I shared key strategies from Winning the War in Your Mind with Craig Kerschel to give us a plan for changing our thinking. And so there was a 4-step process there that Craig shared with us, and we talked about let's remove the lies and let's replace those lies with truth. Let's rewire our brain so we can renew our mind, and then reframe our mind to restore our perspective. And then we want to revive our soul so that we can reclaim our life. Well, I hope for the past month you have been looking at ways that you can win the war on your mind and change your life and change your mindset. So let's dive into today's topic. And as I thought about what would be impactful this month, I was thinking about how, as leaders, we have uncertainty all around us, and we must learn to lead in times of that uncertainty. Have you ever heard of the acronym VUCA? VUCA? Well, that stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And I think that describes the world that we live in today. It is just full of VUCA. So how, as a leader, do we navigate when there's so many unknowns? Things are changing around us all the time at an extremely fast pace. We never know what's going to happen. And so as a leader, we have to learn to navigate those unknowns because it creates a lot of fear, not only as leaders, but also for those around us. And those around us, our followers, are looking to us for direction in these times of uncertainty. So they're counting on us to be confident, to demonstrate confidence, to demonstrate that we are resilient and we're going to bounce back from this. They also look to us, how do we adapt to these situations? There's some things that are within our control, but a lot of times it's outside of our control. And how do we still create this environment of innovation and be able to give them hope that everything is okay? So let me give you a personal example of something that I do. If you have flown on an airplane, you probably have different levels of fear or anticipation about flying. Some of you fly all the time, it's no big deal. Some of you are new to flying, some of you have a lot of fear. So when I was many years ago, when I was a new passenger on an airplane and started flying, I was very nervous. I was nervous about every little noise, every bump. Is this okay? Is this normal? Maybe you can relate to it. So I discovered that when a noise happened that I wasn't sure about, or is this something I should be concerned about, or there was turbulence, is this turbulence serious? I would focus my attention to the flight attendant. And based on what the flight attendant's face looked like and their actions, if they seemed unfazed by it, then I know that it was okay and my anxiety calmed. And I can honestly say that I don't think I've ever been on a flight where I saw a flight attendant panic. But that flight attendant was giving me assurance that this is normal, this is okay. Now, as I've become more of a seasoned flyer, I know what to expect and what not to expect. But that flight attendant was very reassuring. And I think as children, we look to our parents for that reassurance as well. If something is going on, if there's a bump in the house or a noise, we look to our parents for that reassurance. And kids jump into bed with their parents at night when they're scared because they can get that reassurance. So the same is true in organizations, that our followers are looking at us in times when new things happen that they never experienced before. There's things outside of our control. Thinking about the waves on an ocean, right? So when I think of VUCA events, they're not consistent in how they show up. They show up at maybe not usual times. So when we have a wave that hits the shore, it doesn't always show up the same every time. It's different. Sometimes it comes in further, sometimes not so much. And if you've ever been on the beach, you probably have been surprised by some waves that have hit. I have a couple books that have been damaged by water because I wasn't expecting the wave to come in that far. So there's turbulent times in our workplaces. And so just as watching the flight attendants and how they were able to reduce my anxiety, how can we as leaders reduce the anxiety on our teams? So I want to share 4 action steps that will help us in calming our teams. First of all, as a leader, we need to stay visible. So those flight attendants, if they would have ran and hid in the galley, that would have been concerning to me. Or as a parent, if you're not there for your children, that's going to be very detrimental to them. So as a leader, we need to stay visible and communicate frequently with our teams. During COVID, many organizations said, okay, if you can work from home, you need to work from home. And a lot of people were no longer coming into the office or the place of employment. They were working from their home, they were working remotely. And I saw so many CEOs do what a great thing. They would do videos, or maybe they would do live sessions on Teams or Zoom, but they would record videos and they would put those videos out to reassure their teams that everything was going to be okay. We may not know how it's going to get there. We may not know what comes tomorrow, but we're going to work together. And so when they could give those positive messages, it reassured their team. If they didn't see their leader for weeks on end, that would cause a lot of anxiety. So the employees knew, I'm not alone. And I think a lot of us during COVID, we felt that we were alone. But having those leaders show up and say, look, you're not alone. I know this is hard and we're all going through this together. So that was really important. So being visible, number 1. Number 2, it's okay for us as leaders to say, I don't know. I don't know. In these turbulent times, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next month. I don't know what's going to happen next year. And it's okay to say that I don't have all the answers. But here's what I do know. I know that we are a team that works together. I know that we are there for each other and we're going to get through this. I don't know what it looks like from point A to point B in the middle there, but I know that whatever comes our way, we are a strong team and we are prepared for it and we will rally together. So for example, let's say that an organization, we have a big contract and that client says, our business has changed, and so we can no longer have a contract with you for your services. We have to end the contract. And that was a big contract for our organization. And so many people in our organization or our team worked on that contract. What's going to happen next? That creates a lot of fear. And so what we can do is say, okay, well, when this happened before, because it probably has, or something has happened before, yes, we lost this contract. That was work that went away. But you know what we did? We all rallied together and we found other ways to generate resources, other ways to generate revenue. And so we were able to do that. We worked together to weather that storm, and we will do it again. So we remember those things. We remember those times that it was a bad situation and how we came out of it. The third thing that I want to say is that we focus on our organizational values. What is the purpose of our organization? And being able to demonstrate agility, being able to change and pivot quickly. This is a competitive advantage. If you have an organization that has worked on this over time, when those times come of uncertainty, you can pivot and change. And it is necessary for survival. Everybody on the team should have a clear understanding of who are we and what do we stand for. Constantly looking for ways to improve and recognize change is important for survival. So the question is, does your team embrace innovation, trying new things, being okay with taking risk and knowing that sometimes those things are going to fail? If we don't prepare before the storm or the wave that's crashing in, when it comes in, it's going to be too late. I should have moved my blanket back, and my books wouldn't have gotten ruined in that wave. During COVID, it was amazing to watch the organizations that had prepared and practiced agility so that when the storm came, they could pivot and they could survive. So restaurants being able to do pickup, takeout, delivery, retail, same thing, curbside pickup. New products. So we saw distilleries. They are no longer producing alcohol. They went to producing hand sanitizer. Car companies producing respirators. So again, being able to pivot when the time comes, we have prepared for that. So we needed to make sure we're visible. We need to make sure that we're honest with our teams. We're prepared to pivot when necessary. And the fourth thing, this is something that we should avoid. So it's a little bit different. The other things were proactive. This is something that we should avoid. We have to be careful not to make predictions and create expectations that are only going to disappoint us. A prediction is a guess. But when we make predictions, our teams and those that follow us look at that as an absolute, right? So we're going to put this date on the calendar. We'll be back to normal by then. Well, guess what? When that date comes and we're not back to normal, the team is disappointed, they feel defeated, and they lose confidence in the leader. Instead, we should avoid instilling that false sense of security, recognizing that, you know what, I understand as the team leader that we are extremely shorthanded. We lost a couple key players on our team, and we are definitely shorthanded. I can't promise you when that's going to end, but I can tell you that we're working towards that. If I say in 2 weeks we'll have somebody in place and that doesn't work out, that's just another disappointment. So we want to make sure that we are not predicting things because our team is going to take that as absolute and only become disappointed. So I know what you're thinking right now. As a leader, you want me to step up and do all of these things. You want me to be confident. You want me to say it's okay. You want me to basically, just say we're going to focus on this. We're going to remember the bad and how we came out of it, and we're going to do it again. And you want me to avoid predictions. So I'm expected to do all of those things to instill that hope in my team. But as a leader, who do I turn to build my confidence? What about my anxiety? And when I feel like I'm losing hope, what do I do? And to be honest, this is what I would suggest. You need to have other leaders that you can turn to because you're all in the same situation. And so recognize that here's my team, here's my tribe, here's my support group, and I have that I can turn to them and say, guys, I'm really feeling like I'm struggling here. What are you doing to help instill that hope and that confidence in your teams? How can I do that? So having people that can support you, listening to podcasts of other leaders and what they're doing, read books, and seek out people who have been in similar situations and say, how did you get through it? What did you learn from this that you can help me? So a VUCA world has effects on all of us. We can't escape it. And it's going to create anxiety, and it's going to create fear, and it's going to create that feeling of hopelessness. As leaders, we need to remember to have other leaders who can support us, and so that we can support our team by being visible, by being transparent, letting people know we don't have all the answers, but give them hope that we can work together to get through it. Focus on the values, focus on the truths of our organization, and be willing to be flexible when necessary and avoid predicting things and giving hard dates. Well, thank you for joining. And if you have enjoyed our vlog today, please like, share, and subscribe. If you missed any of our previous sessions, you can find them on my website at youthrive2.com. Our intent is to fill our cup at a different location each episode. If you have a favorite spot that would be a great place for us to fill our cup, and that place would like a free shout out, let me know. Again, thank you for joining, and until next time, please take care and fill your cup.
Fill My Cup is a joint production of Thrive LLC and Kelly Johnson Photography Kim's book, Burn the Plow, can be purchased through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Books A Million.